Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Reactivate series. So the first Reactivate episode was Weldor. So we have another episode of it and we have got the one, the only, Eric. Or to the Shump posters, the god of all memes. So before we go and see Eric and see how much damage he has got, let's talk a little bit about his combat experience and how I got it. So here we go. So in Series 3, Eric started its combat career and it didn't do... it did okay. It did come up against King B and was completely pitted. It had a better success in Series 4 where it fought lots of machines and it did really well. Unfortunately, it was taken out by Splinter. And then Splinter was taken out by Hypnodisc, but a little bit of justice there for Eric. After this, Eric went a little bit off, was passed around by many different teams, and eventually was in the hands of Matt Smith. Took it to the live events, and it did okay. So here's a few bits and pieces of Eric's live event experience having combat.
Oh, come on with the Eric! You've got Gabriel! We've lost our head!
Yeah, it didn't do well. Gabriel definitely completely totaled it. So after this, Matt had retired the robot, and this is how I started to see it. So I seen his Facebook page, and I seen that he was going through different machines that he was retiring, was put to the side, and I thought, do you know what, this machine, just like Weldor 1, needs to be preserved because it's Robot Wars history. So I asked Matt, could I take it, and he said 100%. I was very pleased with that, and with the help of John from the Team Nessie team, was brought to me in 2019 at RoboNerd, where it was displayed for the final time with everybody before I would take it back to get it restored. So I want to say a personal thank you to Matt for giving it to me. We're going to go now and see how much damage or what do we have to do to bring back Eric to looking well. Yeah. On the next part. Okay, so we have Eric here. We're just checking the damage that its last few fights in combat, what it did to it, so we can work around it. So let's get a close-up of it. So as you can see here, the damage here, that's from, I think that was from Gabriel, or it could have been Ripper, not too sure, but you can see that there's bits and pieces been cracked. We're not going to do too much with the shell. We're going to be basically putting panels over it. It has been welded since its battle, because I remember there's a picture online where it was crumpled in the middle. This part's bent out as well. It's cracked here as well. The front seems to be perfectly fine. Maybe a little bit of crack there on the aluminium shell. This is, I think this has been dented in with the axe as well. The side panels are okay. There's a couple scratches not there. What we're going to do is take all this off, all this paint off, and then just repaint it. But what we're doing today, we're just focusing on the jaw. So this is the jaw part of it that we're going to focus on today. It's not that badly damaged. So if you can see from this side, there's a tooth bent in, and there's two teeth here at the bottom that are bent in, and the jaw mechanism itself is very loose. That's because there's a couple of bolts that we had to put into the bottom plate about here and here to tighten it. But all we're going to do today is focus on painting it. Possibly today, maybe bend these in as well, try and bend them back into shape. If not, that'll be tomorrow's problem. And also paint this part as well, because what we're going to do here is like paint like a nice little red strip, kind of like a go faster stripes, like a racing car. I think that's what go faster stripe, yeah, isn't it? It is. So, and also the next part is also to make a new eyepiece for it. So the eye panel was at RoboNerd, but it was a friend who got it at a charity event, and he was so nice enough to actually give me measurements of the face paint. But that'll be the last part that we'll do. But today we're going to focus on just painting this and painting the sides, and that will be the first part done. Come on, Eric, now. That's it. So yeah, painty time. So yeah, that's the first part done.
Yep.
That's the jaw.
It's a drippy boy.
It's a bit wet at the moment, and we've got our go faster stripes.
Like you need to clean some of it up, but like.
Yeah, but we're going to be taking this panel off anyway. And
critical.
But yeah, that's it. As it was starting to get super cold outside, I didn't have time to do a big setup of talking about what I was going to do. So here's the voiceover. So I'm painting this nice tinge of green over the side panels of Eric, and I'm keeping the battle damage because it's nice to keep the scuffs and scores from its previous fights and live event. So here is the finished parts. So the side panel is now put on, and then we had both side panels on, and then we have a nice wee top view. Next part is to build the side panels. Okay, so I am just back from picking up parts at Phelan has given me for Eric. There are wheelchair motors, and they're bloody heavy. That's in there. That's the wheel, but the motor is attached to it. Didn't plan this out right. Yeah, if you're going to plan something like this when you're trying to get robot parts, make sure you've got transport. I have to basically walk the whole way back home, but I don't mind. The only difference is, the only problem is that it's raining, and yeah, that's a bit of a downer. But we got the parts. Yo, thank you very much, Phelan. You're an absolute star. Now, onto the rest of the build. And just when it was going so well getting Eric rebuilt, the whole world had to go into utter chaos with and in lockdown with this COVID-19 situation, which means that the parts I was going to get, I can't get them now because the warehouse is closed. My fiance is away with her ones in lockdown, so it means it's just me and Eric here at my house. Sucks, but that'll not deter us because there is a few things I can do to Eric, which I have the parts here, but let's get into that side of things. Unfortunately, because of the wind being so strong, it was messing up the camera, so you've got some lovely little pictures here. So the first picture you see here is the front of Eric. I decided to repaint the jaw and fix up the little panel at the front that covers the jaw mechanism. The next stage was to do the paint job to the eye and then make the panel for the eyepiece. That was a wee bit tricky, because I had, as I say, I've got very little resources here, so I had very little paint. So I had to make really carefully to make sure this eye looked perfect, as close to the original Eric paint job eye. But I think I did a good job. Then I put the green panel back on. and added the last part of the eye, which is the white part of it. And just as I noticed in the pictures that I have of the original eyepiece, there's a little tiny bit of red just to show the side of the eye. So I'm really happy that I got that, because all I was going to do is paint it white and black. The next picture you see here is just after I finished painted the jaw, the eyepiece, the eye, and put the panel back on, and it's starting to take shape. Now when I seen this, it's like, this is starting to become Eric again. I'm really happy with that. So I put the other panel on just to see what it looked like with all together at the front. It looks really, really good. The next picture you see here is I've got the jaw mechanism working again. I've tightened the bolts inside it, which means it's not like moving back to side, and I thought it would be a pretty cool picture, so I decided to take another picture of kind of replicating the picture it's on the wiki. It was in the magazine where Eric's jaw is nice and wide. And the last little thing I will show you here is a little bit of a video before I packed Eric away for today. Just showing how amazing the sunshine is and showing off the beautiful work that I've done. So you can see what I've done there. I'm really, really happy with it, because I was so terrified with the limited resources I have at the moment at the house, because everything's closed. I couldn't afford to mess up the paint. I'm really happy that I got the eye as close to the original as possible. I got the jaw fixed as well, I'm really happy with. And the next stage is to get the two side panels cut out and the back panel cut out, and then we can start painting the lovely lime green that I've picked for Eric. Then get the bolts. Fingers crossed we can find somewhere we can get these little bolts, because we don't have a lot of them. And then the next stage, hopefully by the time you guys see it, quarantine is over, which my fiance will be painting the flame on Eric, because that was a very bad time taking the original flame off Eric. Well, it's 2023 and there has been a lot of delays in the rebuild of Eric, but I did do a lot of work in 2021. However, I didn't have a camera because it decided to break on me. But what we did in 2021, we got the side struts completely bent back into shape, so they're completely straight, as well as the back. We used a blowtorch and a hammer, so brute force ignorance to get it back, to bend the shell back into place. I did also manage to cut out panels and spray paint it, so it's been completely sprayed green. However, as I said, delays happened, and I kind of put Eric onto the back burner for a while. But I'm very happy to say that we are going to have Eric fully restored today, because it's making a debut at my Mecha Mayhem event. Mecha Mayhem, you may not know what it is. I will probably talk about it in a future video, but I've decided to make my own live Antweight show and touring it all around Northern Ireland. We've done pretty well so far, so here's a little clip of what Mecha Mayhem is. That's Mecha Mayhem. So our last event of the year is in Lisburn. It's also going to be our first event in Lisburn at a place called Dragon Scale Gaming. And I thought, you know what, it would be pretty cool to bring Eric along to the event. So allow me to introduce the new look of Eric. And here you have it. This is Eric's paint job all back together. I painted them on, there's like a tape that was original tape that's been taken off. Thought painting would be better. Still have a little bit to do here between the self-righting arm, but yeah. We also have to put the spikes on the top. We're going to get them sorted before we do the Mecha Mayhem event, but yeah, look at him. Look how amazing he looks now. So yeah, can't wait to see what the public think of him at our next event. So guys, that's the flame panels all painted and also the name as well. So we also have to work on getting the spikes, but we will have that ready for the event. However, we've had a bit of a funny moment. I've just thought to myself, we will have the car park where the event is not that close to the event, so it means that we'll have to push Eric along to the event because it doesn't have any motors and stuff like that, and carrying Eric would be pretty dangerous. One of us would end up dropping it on ourselves. So enjoy that awkward moment of us pushing it through the town to the event. And there you have it. Eric made its big debut at the Mecha Mayhem event, and I have to say I'm really happy with the way people reacted to it. I'm definitely considering maybe doing it again and hopefully take it to other events as a display piece, but it's so nice to see the reaction of people and to enjoy it. But ever since putting up the updates on Eric online, people have been asking questions, and I'm very happy to answer those questions. Now, one of the big questions is, will I enter Eric into competition? Will it be fully restored for combat, or will I make a new version of Eric to compete at live events? The answer to that is no. Eric is a classical machine, and as you've seen what happened to it in its previous time entering into the new arenas and new robots out there, it would be thrashed, and it is a part of Robot Wars history, and I want to keep it and preserve it to let the next generation enjoy it and maybe get inspired by it. Now, I did tamper on trying to make a Beetleweight version of it, and somebody else has made a wonderful replica featherweight of Eric, and I thought that was absolutely amazing. But in weight class, possibly it may make an Antweight version of it, so it would be a part of the Mecha Mayhem events, and also it would be quite fun to take it over for whiteboard fights at a few Antweight events in the foreseeable future. The other thing people have asked me is, will I take it to RoboNerd if I'm able to get the funds? The problem is I will be 100% jump to RoboNerd with Eric and Weldor and whatever else I had to display, but it is transport and funds. It is costs of a lot of money to get over there, especially if I have to get a ferry and also hire out a van, because unfortunately I don't have a car myself. So yeah, for the foreseeable future, maybe not, unless I get some help with getting it over there. I will definitely do it. For displays over in the UK, possibly not. I don't see that happen unless I'm able to work something out with events or the event organisers or something like that. But for the Dublin event, the possibility, if the Robot Rats want a display piece there, Eric possibly could be displayed at Robot Rats. We'll have to find that out and see what the story is. But realistically, it'll be more Mecha Mayhem events and local places where I can get Eric to. But yeah, that's a few questions. There's a couple of other wee questions like will it drive? Will it have any like activational parts in it? I do have plans to put a drive system into it. Now, I could have waited and added this to this documentary part, but because that realistically this documentary should have been out at like early 2020, but obviously with the pandemic happening and parts happening and delays and stuff like that, this documentary has dragged out way too long. So I didn't want to leave it for an extra 2 more or 3 or 4 more years until I get a drive set up for it. So I might do a little video, a short little video of us putting the parts into it and letting it drive at some point in the future. But I thought it's time to put this documentary out. It's been sitting on my editing bay for a very long time, so I thought it was nice to show the progression of the restoration of Eric. But yeah, that's basically it, guys, for the restoration of Eric. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye, everyone.